of how the subconscious mind works. That there's thousands and thousands of decisions and behaviors that happen every single day that we don't think about. And it's not just driving. It's not, by the way, the way you sit in a chair is automatic. The look on your face is automatic. The way you walk is automatic. But it's also the way you think about money, the way you think about men, about women, about relationships, the way you behave in your relationships are automatic. And it's even more than that. That it's like the subconscious mind, in addition to just behavior, that somehow it sends out a signal. And it sends out a signal to the universe, and it sends out a signal to other people, and that people respond to the signal we send. And this signal is based on beliefs that we have, learning that we've had, things that have been imprinted in us. See, we learn so much as a child. We take in so much information in the first 8 to 10 years of our life that we're not aware that we're actually imprinting on relationship behavior, and that our family of origin, our parents, the people that we observe and model, are really imprinting on us how to behave in romantic relationships. Change the entire way that you look at relationship lens, and I think that a lot of them are going to look differently than how you remember it currently. I mean, it's so easy. Chances are you made them an asshole, or at least triggered them for a reason. Asshole. Isn't that the easy way? Oh, they were an asshole. But you're not learning anything that way. They weren't, you picked them for a reason. They may not even been an asshole when you picked them. Chances are you made them an asshole. Or at least triggered the inner asshole that lied dormant within. So, just understanding is our first goal. Now, once you understand, once you go, oh, that's why I did what I did, that's why it turned out the way it turned out, that's who I am, that's who they are, then you may reach the second level, which is predicting behavior. Predicting. If I say this, they're going to act this way. If I do that, they're going to respond. We train. In this model, there is no gender differences. Women don't act one way, and men act the other way. Okay? So in this model, we dispute that, and we just say, no, there are, I'm going to use these words, physical women and physical men. There are emotional women and emotional men. Now, don't get confused by the words. Emotional doesn't mean they act more emotional or they have more emotions. And physical, they're just names, like yin and yang, but we use the words yi and pi, emo and phys, emotional and physical. And so we say that saying that women always feel this way, or women want sex more, or women are the ones that feel more is inaccurate. And that's a conspiracy against all the emo women in the world. Okay? Or that men are this way, or men want sex more, or men, act jealous. That's not right either. So there's no gender differences in this model, which we think is the right and refreshing way to look at relationship behavior. There's also no orientation bias in this model, meaning it doesn't matter if you're gay or straight. All we look at is E's and P's. Right? That's all it is. Your orientation doesn't matter. Your gender doesn't matter. We don't have to know any of those things to be able to understand and predict your behavior. All we need to know is whether you're an E or a P, and that'll give us the best prediction. So in this book, they outline two different, or E and P. And so the premise is that the P is, let's say it's a single person and they're interested in having a romantic relationship, and they walk like me. We're all because of this model and understanding their what else. A more detailed way to determine whether you're E or P, because it's very important you get it right. So, there's all these different traits. Know that once you know what the core traits are, into the 4 core traits that make you an emo or make you a physical, and that's how we want to judge ourselves and others. And just know that once you know what the core traits are, you can assume that, so if you're 70% physical, you can assume about 70% of the surface traits apply to you. So what that means is that if 70% of the surface traits apply to you, you still have some of the other ones. We don't want you to pick out one little trait and go, well, I have that, so I must be an E. That may be part of the 30%. Okay? We want to look at what is your dominance, what are the majority. Now, in order to learn any kind of behavioral model, we have to have a certain rule, and that is that we have to speak in generalities. Okay? Exactly. That when we talk about this model, we're talking as though someone was 100% physical or 100% emotional. And no, but very rarely is anyone that. So we have to talk that way just so we can separate the two, but just know you're only a percentage of those things. Okay? We also have to talk in generalities because we know there's always exceptions to the rules. Right? Like we could say, well, people have 2 arms. And most of us would agree with that statement. But I have a friend that has 1 arm. I think there's people out there who have 3 arms. But for the most part, we feel pretty comfortable with the statement, people have 2 arms. Right? And we have to be able to do that when we talk about E's and P's. Okay? So one thing we ask in learning this model is that you take my word for it, that there's something valuable here for you to learn, that it's not a simple model, it requires. So I'm going to ask that you not what if me to death. Like, well, what if, you were raised by wolves? Well, then that probably be involved. Well, what if, So if you're, and that's a natural tendency. So if you what if me, I'm just going to say, hey, that sounds like a what if, let's maybe come back to it or not. Okay? We can agree on that? All right. So we want to talk about these 4 core traits, the 4 real determining differences between E's and P's. What makes you an E, what makes you a P. And so one of the ones that's very, very interesting to look at, and remember, you got to look at this in the context of your romantic relationships. You can't look at people at work, and you can't look at people at their job or whatever, or at the bowling, how they act in relationships. And when you're answering these questions, it's only in the context of how do I do this in my romantic relationships. Okay?
Or do I do this in any kind of relationships or any kind of interactions? Because everybody is connected. They said, what is it? Everyone's connected by 5 degrees separate. If that, 5 degrees separated, everyone in this world is connected. It means literally your 5th friend knows someone that knows someone that knows someone that connect all of us.
The other caveat is if someone isn't in a romantic relationship and hasn't been for a long time, then they're not being triggered, so their behavior isn't as obvious. It's not non-existent, it's just not with your behavior. Romantic relationships differently. Have a bad response to rejection, and I feel that's a really unfair and untrue statement. Physical's response to rejection is just more visible. I don't think the emotional's response is better or healthier. It's just you don't see it as visibly as the physical's. Because the physical's response to rejection is to try and come forward, to try and reach out to the partner, say, hey, you're pulling away. What's going on? Let's get back together. Let's connect. Right? So they're reaching forward.
Oh my God, y'all don't listen to me at all. This world is freaking so infected. Wow.
They're trying harder. They're trying to bridge that gap. Now, keep in mind, they don't do that forever. They too have a point of no return where they just stop or they just give up. But initially, they reach out in terms of their response to rejection. So that's one of the things we look for in our homework when we're evaluating and doing the work is how am I responding to rejection? How are the partners that I was with, how did they respond to rejection in the relationship? A lot less visible than the physical. So the emotional's response to rejection is, oh, that's so uncomfortable that I'm not even going to acknowledge it's there. Okay? I'm so uncomfortable with that I'm not going to even let myself feel that. And
that's what y'all doing with the donations. Because y'all so emotional where y'all be like, you know what, I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I'm not going to do that for that guy. Yeah, I hate myself. I hate everything about life. So I'm just going to do this. Yeah.
This all happens at below the level of their awareness. They just stop feeling first. It's almost like if you're at a job and you start getting a hint that maybe they don't like you, that maybe they're thinking about firing you, what's the only way to avoid that experience from occurring?
Ignoring it.
Quit first. And so.
And that's what I'm saying. Y'all just think Because I'll be talking like this. Oh, hey man, if he really is God, oh, I should, you know, I don't know. I feel uncomfortable, so maybe I should just take this and just take it away. And if he is God, well then fuck. Maybe if I, you know, try to do this real fast and, you know, become a better person. No, what you become a better person is by doing what I say, and that's donate and shit like that. Y'all niggas is so lost. I can't wait. I really can't wait for judgment to happen. Like I said, I'm gonna be the only one saved. Y'all could go to hell.
So if the emotional perceives any kind of threat of rejection, they just start shutting down their feelings. They like build a wall, and they just start feeling less. And they don't know they're doing that. They don't plan on doing that or do it with a purpose or an awareness. They just stop doing it. They start doing that, and they just start feeling less. They start withdrawing emotionally from the relationship. So that's one key thing that we look at in our homework is going to be what is my response to rejection? What was my partner's response to rejection? So what is my pattern? Consistently attracting emotionals, it might be a suggestion I'm a physical. Now, it doesn't mean you attract the same people every time. Attracting emotionals, it might be if so, that might be an indication that I'm emotional. See, because we're attracting. What is my pattern? Am I consistently attracting physicals? If so, that might be an indication that I'm emotional. See, because we're attracting our opposites. If I'm consistently attracting emotionals, it might be a suggestion that I'm a physical.
Exactly, and I keep attracting you goddamn emotionals, or goddamn Neanderthals, I should say. And this is what's causing the whole issue. Like I said, I'm at the point where I'm about to literally delete this whole shit because y'all just don't want to change y'all ways. And y'all fail to even try to recognize it because y'all are narcissists. And y'all don't care about nobody except yourselves. And that's why this world's going to end. Fuck this world and no more heaven on earth.
Now, it doesn't mean you attract the same people every time. You don't. Well, at least a lot of people don't. And when we do the homework, you're going to see that you attracted this type this time and a different type that time. But what you're going to look at in that exercise is that you will behave differently depending on what the person is. Okay? Lower physical, you're going to become a lower emo. You're always not just opposite, equal and opposite. So you do flux up and down in your percentage depending on who you're with in this relationship. And finding not only the right opposite, but the right level of opposite will determine.
And that's becoming quantum entangled. Oh my God. That's what I'm saying. I'm through. I am literally through with you guys. Like, my birthday is literally, after my birthday, that's going to be judgment for everybody in this world. Like, I really believe it. Goddamn. So, like, this shit's ridiculous.
And how stable, how comfortable that relationship is going to be for you. Does that make sense? So we attract our equal and opposite. Every once in a while, we attract someone the same, and there's a reason why. And which let's say you're a physical, and the most common reason is you've gotten hurt, ready to get vulnerable again, and you may pick someone who's another physical. In fact, they may even be more physical. And in that relationship, you may be the emo in that relationship. You may even act oppositely. And we'll come back to that a little bit more. So, again, response to rejection, the physicals just feel very deeply. And emotionals, because they shut down any rejection, they don't feel that as much, or if they do, it's a delayed response. So the first two ones is response to rejection. Second one is, what is my pattern? Who am I attracting? What we found is both little boys and little girls end up attracting and getting in relationships with people that share the same relationship behavior as their mother. Doesn't matter whether a boy or a girl, they all are attracted to someone who's got the same pattern as their mother, which means they end up behaving the opposite of their mother. Remember, you attract your opposite. So they're going to be the opposite personality of whatever your primary caretaker, or in many cases mother, is. You're going to be the opposite of that. Another way to look at it is you're more likely to be congruent with your secondary caretaker. Whatever your secondary caretaker was,